And welcome back to the Metal Hand of God podcast. I am your host, Wade, and this fine gentleman is...
The Rum Guy. I was hoping you were talking about me.
Yeah, of course I was talking about you. And today's guest, we have a very, very, very special guest. He's coming from the future. Literally,
the future called
literally
Australia.
Yes, he's in Australia, and it's the future there. We have Chris here from the band Dregg. That's how you guys say it, correct?
Yeah, it's Dregg. Yeah, not Dr. Egg, as people have.
Dr. Egg.
Yeah,
Man, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I know. Bit of a Sonic reference.
With Dr. Egg here. All right, that's. I would have never thought that. Who the hell thinks this kind of shit?
Yeah, and there's some slow people. I'll say that.
Yeah, there is, man. Like with all this nonsense with the coronavirus, when you tell somebody to stay inside, away from people, and they're all partying together. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
That's some smart people.
Well, how's that? Speaking of that, how's that affecting you guys and what's been going on? I see that you had a pretty decent sized tour schedule. How's this affecting you?
Well, the same as every other band. Like, it's all just stopped, but it's like we were like, I think the one that hurt was we had Download Festival coming up. Like, we were like 2 weeks out from it, and we had just put the song out. We were at Prac getting ready, and one of the guys from Epitaph sent us a message basically saying, heard a rumor it's cancelled, not certain. And then we kind of just went, even if it's rumors, everything's getting cancelled. Like, this is what's going to happen. So it's one of those things where, like, we're not devastated because it's not like someone's just come along and put a sticker over our band and said, you can't play shows. It's like everyone can't play shows, and it's for the greater good. Like, there's as much as I love playing heavy music, as much as I love music and live shows, like, there's something much more important going on here. And I think it'd just be so selfish to kick and scream. I'm kicking and screaming in my own personal world to my friends, 100%. Sure. But I think it's a weird time for bands to be publicly displaying any sort of angst about what's going on. It's like, it is what it is. We can't do too much for it.
I think it's kind of... Bands are acting kind of selfish, some of them. They're kind of like, I can't believe, we have to do this. Well, dude, nobody's going to be at your show.
That's kind of it. Yeah, it's like, man, that's just the way. I'm like, oh, we're losing money, so we all lost money. It's like, it really, who I really feel for as well is like sound guys, merch guys, photography, people who just like their life is being on the road, and like there's just not a whole lot that they can do from like the confines of their home,
I mean, and venue owners, because I'm like, I do booking out here in Louisiana, and one of the venues, the main venue that I book at is a little venue called Babylon, and they're completely shut. Like, they can't do anything.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Like, they're normally a bar, so it's kind of like they can't be open, they can't serve anybody, so the owner...
no way to make any sort of revenue, yeah.
Right, and he's got to pay rent and everything else, so it's a... It's a big pile of shit.
One idea that I meditated on the other day a little bit was just like, this is like, so like we're talking about right now the way that this is affecting the music scene that we play in, like a very niche music scene where it's like, man, look at all these problems. You've got photographers and sound guys and venues and bars and promoters and blah, blah, blah. You've got all that. And then it's like, man, amplify that. It's literally every industry and every avenue of work, like every single person on the planet is affected by this in one way or another right now. So it's like, think about the just millions of tiny microscopic messes going on, big messes, every single show and festival around the world of any genre, any sort of gathering of like public events, like speakers from like social commentators and even comedians, even press conferences. Everything is just like screeching halt. It's crazy.
I mean, I can't say this isn't unprecedented. At least here, it was 1880, I think, was the biggest thing here, was the Spanish flu epidemic.
Well, yeah, the flu stuff.
And that really shut down this country. I know. I mean, it didn't end well for certain states. And I think this is just kind of a little bit of a repeat of that, just but people have changed so much. So you had a lot of people at that point in time. It was a different way of thinking. It was a different way of living. And now we're so used to being out in everybody's face and out in the public and being
And
very
crossing
social.
borders regularly, like flying
Right.
into like internationally very regularly as well. You know.
Exactly. I mean, it's absolutely nuts. But I mean, this is probably going to give you some guys some time to be a little bit creative. Do you guys have like, are you being able to be creative, in your own homes and your own studios and stuff like that there, or how is that working as of
Well,
right
see,
now?
it's a weird one. So right now I live with my guitarist Sam. So we're lucky enough that we can keep the show rolling, and our other we're the three primary writers in the band. So our other guitarist lives up the road, but he can email us his
Sure.
his riffs. We can put them in the computer and we can work with it. So we can keep creating music. We have some new music in the pipeline during all of this downtime, but
Nice.
I'm also realizing from a like it's interesting. So the guys in the band, they're finding it's easy to write, like they're writing riffs and whatnot. But from a vocalist and lyricist point of view, it's a very strange time to write lyrics because I don't. It's like I'm noticing like as you'd know by the music, I'm really into my hip hop, and
Yeah.
I primarily listen to more hip hop than metal these days, and
Sure.
I'm seeing a lot of rappers coming out like within weeks of this pandemic, right? And they've already got like some sort of song about coronavirus. Like I was listening to a Tom McDonald song the other day, and it's just straight up called Coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, it's so early to be cementing your ideas on this, because like I'm kind of just trying to sit back and evaluate what I even think of this situation, like where my
Right.
political stance is on it, where my ethical stance is on it, and it's one of those like I don't know where my opinion sits yet on the current state, so I don't want to write about that. And then I feel kind of selfish writing about anything else right now. Like I can't be motivated to write some song about political correctness or genocide or like a silly song. I can't be motivated to do that because we're just bombarded. And a lot of people say don't watch the news, don't keep updated, but it's like I'm not sitting around watching bloody Fox News back to front, but I'm seeing articles on Instagram and Twitter and stuff. And
Well, you can't avoid it, man. It's everywhere.
you can't avoid it. So it's like you're around it. You're having to follow it regularly. And it's a weird time to let go creatively and create something. Like I'm doing
Right.
I'm doing my best, and I feel like a lot of other artists are going to be in the same boat. You won't see a creative push for like another couple of weeks until we really have sunk in with what's going. Like I'm a very extroverted, outgoing, active person. Like I'm usually out of the house doing stuff, and I'm going crazy. Like I'm just trying to deal with being inside a house at the moment, let alone trying to write, you know?
Yeah, look, man, I completely understand like being in a situation. I mean, look, and like you said, it's impossible you can't avoid it. There's no way, because my news feed on Facebook was for the last 3 weeks was either coronavirus or what was it, Tiger King. That's all I got on mine.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
That's where we're at.
Well, let me flip flop this real quick. I want to know more about the band itself, and I think everybody listening wants to hear it. So tell us, Dregg, when did this? How long you guys been together? Just give us the
breakdown.
I mean, you were age 3, you were all sitting around, whatever. How it starts? Let's hear it.
So basically, I used to play on a band. I used to play in a band maybe 5 to 6 years ago. So I live in Melbourne in Australia now, but I used to live in Queensland in the Gold Coast, and I played in like a mosh metal band, like a pretty stock standard mosh metal band, with this guy called Sam and some other friends, my mate Darren and some other interchangeable members. And then basically that, towards the end of that band, we started getting a little bit experimental and adding hip hop and everything, and it just didn't do very well given the current where music was at. People just weren't into it, and we just saw the band starting to end, and it wasn't anything like I said, it was like a mosh metal band, and we just started adding some hip hop towards the end of the band's progression. That band was called Lane Cove, if anyone's interested for whatever reason. And then yeah, once the band kind of called it a day, I decided to move to Melbourne, and I was gonna do either a hip hop project here, or I was just gonna start like a straight up hardcore band.
Nice.
And it was kind of one or the other. And then luckily, like a friend of mine at the time moved with me and introduced me to Jordan, who's the other founding member of the band, and we ended up just writing some riffs, and we started writing like some proper hardcore music. And if you listen to like our earlier stuff, it's quite hardcore. Like it's very I guess like Iron Mind, Third Strike, TUI,
Okay.
like that sort of vibe. Our old stuff was quite hardcore, but we always had this weird flair. Like I used to play in skirts. He used to write all over it. He used to write all over his guitar, but it was like it wasn't funny. We weren't trying to be funny. We were just trying to be different. We were just trying to showcase
Right.
because we're all
Well,
arty dudes as well. We were trying to put some art into the mix, and then we kept that going, and then band evolved and evolved over time. Some members came and went, and then when it came time to making our second EP, the Dregg EP, we needed a guitarist. So I called Sam that used to play in my old band back in Queensland, the Lane Cove. I called him and just said, "Yo, man, I got this band that's actually popping off down here in Melbourne. Do you want to move?" And Sam's really good. Sam's really good at guitar. Like he's a born lead guitarist. So I was like, "You want to get down here?" Brought him down, and he gelled really well with Jordan, and the three of us have just been this really good team. And then we needed a drummer a little bit after that, and we ended up getting my friend Jorge, who was just like, he was just a homie, and I didn't even know he played drums. And then one day he's like, "Yo, I play drums if you're getting me a drummer." And we were like, okay, tight. And then after a couple of years of about a year of touring as that band, we lost our bass player, and then we had our merch guy Zov, who was hanging out with us. Like he was just grubby little bong smoker that hung out in the tour van and sold our merch. And eventually he when we needed a bass player, we were without a bass player for about a month and a half, and he just kind of goes, "Can I do it?" And we just laughed in his face and said, "No, you can't." And then he goes, give me 3 months. And we were like, "We're going to look for someone." So we started looking for a bass player, and then Zov just kept practicing and practicing. And then he was eventually good enough in time to go on this massive tour with Hellions. And his
Nice.
first show, his first shows was like 1,000 cap rooms around Australia, and he's never played bass before in his life. So
That's
and then
fucking
that's
cool.
awesome.
That is fucking
Yeah,
cool.
crazy. And then that brings us to present day. So that's how the five of us came together. There's been other members that have come and gone, and then
Sure.
the five of us have kind of like nutted it out, and now we've got the five of us together. Yeah.
All right, now I have questions. All right, here are my questions. First off, I need to know. You need to send me these hardcore bands because I'm a huge hardcore fan. Like I've always been that way. Like I grew up listening to like the New York hardcore scene with like Sick of It All and Agnostic Front and all those guys. So I definitely need to hear these other bands that you were mentioning because I've never heard of them before.
Actually, I just realized like two of the three bands I mentioned were Australian hardcore
Mhm.
bands because
Right.
I guess it's one of those things with hardcore. Like I'd be absolutely lying if I said that I grew up like listening to Terror and
Like, I know Terror,
Madball
yeah.
and all that.
Yeah.
Like I listen to those bands now, but as a kid, I was raised on like Australian hardcore from like local bands because that was all I was exposed to.
Right. That's what you
Like, there
could
was
get
no-
to. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no need. Like it sounds dumb, but like there was no need to listen to Terror because the idea of Terror coming to the local shed that I went to shows at
It was impossible.
wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't possible. It was like I would learn. Like there was a band up the road called Crime Scene down in Byron Bay, and I used to love their music because I was like, I know I can see them every weekend, and I can run on people's heads, and I don't like. You know what I mean? Like I just got
Oh,
more
yeah.
into local music because
That's
was
why
there.
it's so important to support and listen to local
Right,
bands.
and that's what we say
where
all
your
the time.
Creative comes from.
Yeah, that's what we always tell
Yeah.
everybody. You got to support these local bands, man. Because like you never know when they're gonna be like, "Pow, here we are," you know.
Exactly. That's the thing as well. It's really cool being part of watching a band do that. Like, I can name countless bands that I used to love when I was young. I used to go to every show, buy their merch, and now they're bloody huge. Like, I couldn't even get a word in with them now. But like, good on them. Like, it's sick to be. There's something sick about being a part of that. And
Yeah.
being like, man, I was there building that that community in that band, and it teaches you that
Absolutely.
you can do it yourself, and it teaches you how to properly like cater to your own fans. Because I remember what it's
Yes.
like to be just a diehard of a local band and that recognition you wanted for it, you know?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like the local scene out here in New Orleans is like that. Like you know, I mean, we've got the big famous ones like Goat Whore and Crowbar, and even members of, the singer from Pantera was from here. Okay, I see him
Oh,
like
right.
I see him like once a month or so when we're out. Like
Oh,
he's,
okay, word.
yeah, and he's still a dude that goes to local shows. Like he's no,
Yeah.
and that's what's so cool about these guys. These guys were tour the world. They have huge record labels and all this shit, and then they'll come see bands like my band. When my band played, the guys would come out and see us. Like that's fucking so cool.
It's kind of like what keeps you. It's like that's what you got into it for. Do you know what I mean?
Right? Exactly.
Like I try to do it here as well. I try to hit as many like local. I got a few friends around here that just do local hip hop. I try to get to as many of those shows as I possibly can. Like it gets hard as your band starts to do more because
Well, yeah,
it just
Sure.
in a weird point now, because it's like now I've got all the time to go to shows, but there's no shows. It is what it is. But yeah, like there's something I love about going. Like I went to this really small hip hop show a couple of months ago to a friend of mine named Teether. He's a rapper named Teether with his friend Real Name. Great rappers, and it was just like it was so funky, man. Like they had a coffin on stage that they came out in. They like were shaving their heads and eating ramen like on stage. Like I felt like I was in a living room, but
that's
like
awesome.
at this. And it's like, man, you don't see that when you go see like fucking I don't know, like I love Kendrick, but you go to a Kendrick show, you don't see that. You
No.
see a light show and like all that. You go to these local dingy shows and you see fucking crazy shit, man. Like people are really being creative. They're trying to think of a way to make that small venue just absolutely wild.
Exactly. We actually host a thing we do once a year out here called the Eight Unholy. Well, it's not eight anymore. It's just called the Unholy Nights, and we do 9, or it's either 8 or 9, depends on how many weekend days there are in the month of February. And we do every Friday and Saturday at that venue I was telling you about, and it's the little festival's been growing bigger and bigger every year. That was the 5th year last year that happened, just passed, and we've had. I mean, there were guys standing on the bars. There was people like naked. It's if you go to the small shows, you see shit that you won't ever see at big shows, hands down.
Exactly. You
Hands
see
down.
that drunk patron who's just like
Don't give a fuck.
windmilling with his shirt off,
Yes.
and like you just see crazy shit that you don't, and you see community. You don't see community at those big shows. As much
Yes.
as I love those big shows, and I'm actively trying to play them, like there isn't that same community at local shows
Nah.
where it's like this is a room full of people that are here for the same exact reason,
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
you mentioned Crazy, and I want to say Crazy is the video for your new single out. What is this, Hectic?
Yeah, hectic. Yeah.
That video is nuts, man.
I
That
love
is-
your videos.
It's awesome.
Thanks,
Absolutely
man.
awesome.
Thanks.
Like
Thanks.
I told you on Instagram, man. I was like, I love the videos, dude. Like, it's good to see somebody actually putting out something that's a video that's not just fucking live shots of them. And
Yeah.
and I really look. Don't get me wrong. I dig live shot. I love watching live shows, but when you're gonna do a music video, you got to be a little artsy with it. And you guys really take it out of the park, man. It's awesome.
Well, you
Well, I
start
just
off
feel like-
with a guy from the future, and then you go into the whole
Yes.
band thing, which is that's just absolutely nuts. But I was curious with what you're doing. I mean, with this was this video your idea? Was this a producer, somebody else's idea to come up with how to do this video, or
No,
or-
all the videos are the ideas of the band. Like we just put in this one was primarily Sam and myself.
Okay.
Return of the Dregg was primarily Sam, Jordan, and myself. You've got Weirdo, that was primarily Jordan, and a little bit of me, mostly Jordan. Sorry, Daddy, that was more Jordan. Like this, we just kind of like all just. It's like if someone thinks of an idea, we just we're a very teamwork band. Like we work together and we're very close dudes. And we have a very clear vision of what we're trying to do. Like so, we like each other's ideas. Like if someone says, "Yo, this could be cool," like we all just kind of jump on board with it. You know.
Cool.
So cool. I don't like. We might bring in some sort of director for it one day, but like I said, it's like we love the idea of thinking of the ideas ourselves, and like the only time we'd bring in a director would be to help create the vision that we're trying to create. But it's all one big story, and it's full of Easter eggs and everything. And if we brought someone in to do it now, it would just kind of ruin the story, I think.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. You're not just throwing out music. It seems like, I mean, lyrically, I'm catching. You've got a point that you're getting across. You've got a story you're telling in the songs that you're throwing out.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's, and it's kind of cool to see that reflected also in the videos. A lot of times they don't mesh to me. You know, you'll watch a video and you're like, okay, it's a dark, creepy video, and what are we talking about here? You know, but you can watch this video and really get, because it's meshing really well with what you're bringing across.
Yeah, I guess like we try to just tailor to the song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
So, all right, look, since we talked about it so much, man, I am going to play the song Hectic for you guys. So sit back and enjoy. Here it is. yeah, so there you go. That was fucking hectic right there. I hope you guys enjoyed it because I did. And see, that's like editing magic, man. See what I'm saying?
It was
That's
absolutely
fantastic.
amazing.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Well, this has been a double kind of a kind of a fucked up kind of year for Australia too. I mean, now you're
Oh
dealing with
yeah.
what's going on now, but how did the fires affect y'all?
Well, one thing that to backstep it really quickly, I guess one thing that I've been, I guess, hovering around the house saying lately and just talking to friends about is like, we're so lucky that that isn't happening now,
Oh
because
God, yeah.
that
Oh,
would
no doubt.
we would be a disaster if we got hit with these two things at once. And it also makes me realize what a vulnerable state we are in right now, where if like anything like worldwide happens like that, like we are
Oh,
just sitting ducks as the entire world right now. So that's one thing that I've been kind of counting the blessings for. But fires is a weird one because we live in a city, so we're not very like we have some smoke come in. Like we have some smoke come into the city, and it makes a bit of a haze for a few days, and people complain about that. But to be honest,
Sure.
we're not very directly affected where we are. There was some fires on the outskirts of the city, but they weren't anything like what you would have seen footage of. That was all more going on in like our rural, like farmland and out in our bushland and stuff like that.
Right.
And then if you go more towards like New South Wales, it was starting to affect some like bigger areas there. Even in Victoria, there was some areas being affected, but New South Wales and Queensland really, I think South Australia as well, but New South Wales really copped it, like all the koala population there and everything.
Yeah.
And then what's interesting about that is New South Wales is also the state at the moment that's copping coronavirus badly.
Whoa.
So New South Wales is like the state that's really just dealing with it this year. But
So they're
it
like
was
getting
interesting.
decimated.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, I said so they're like getting decimated with all this shit, man.
Yes, yeah, they're just absolutely copping it as a state at the moment, and like we've definitely got cases all over the country, but New South Wales has communal spreading where it spreads person to person. So they're just falling apart at the moment after all of that devastation early in the year and then this now. But it was one thing that was cool was this sense of just, I don't know, like Aussie community. Like it was like everybody knew how serious it was. I saw friends even like every show that was announced that month was just 100% benefits. Every bit of merch sold was 100% benefits. Like it's one of those things like Australians, like we there's a lot that we can disagree on, but like we love our country and we appreciate how good we have it here. And when something bad happens, it's kind of like left wing, right wing, center, young, old, we all just kind of pull in together and go, all right, let's just get, like, people were going from all walks of life trying to get out there and volunteer and help. Like,
That's great.
The barbershop I work out, we were donating like money from our haircuts. Like we had all sorts of different shit, just like and it was like, no one deserves praise for their virtue in it because literally everybody pulled their finger out. Like, I couldn't name a person I know personally that didn't have some sort of like positive effect towards helping, you know?
That's
Like it was
great.
everybody.
It's kind of disheartening in a way to think about for at least, I don't know, maybe on a global scale, or I know a lot in this country that it's everybody walks around with their middle finger up until something horrible happens.
Yeah.
And I think for a period of time everybody gets a little bit more. It takes a tragedy to make humanity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes, and I think maybe if we can start to work and see that more globally and on a bigger scale, the picture, and recognize that, I think things together as a people, we can come together a lot. But instead of walking around blind to the world and waiting for the next tragedy, the next a major fire, the next World Trade Center disaster before people can come together, I think if we just focus on it now and look and see people are still good. We can still be humans here. We don't have to be our fucking robot lifestyle, you know?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just like people from both sides, left and right, like
Sure.
need to be able to just, because you're always going to have that. You're always going to have your left and your right. It's always going to be there. And it's like those two people need to discuss the fact that they don't agree. And when you don't agree on stuff, that's okay. But we don't move forward until everybody kind of works together and communicates together. Like we're definitely seeing it at the moment with this virus. Like there's different parties that have different plans and different ideas. And it's kind of like what we need to be doing is just looking at facts. Like we don't need to be pushing either agendas right now. We need to just be kind of going off what needs to be done, you know. And I hope that after a few months, if not 6 months, however long this is going to pan out, I hope after all of this that people start realizing, one, there's just no room for like false information. That doesn't seem to help in any way. Like that just seems to be making things worse. And like you said, just this idea, it sounds so la and
It does.
like,
I mean,
happy, but it's one of those, like, I have a lot of friends that I disagree with on so many levels, like so many levels. Like I disagree with my girlfriend on stuff, like, but I still love these people and I can have conversations with them. Like I disagree with my dad on stuff. I can talk to him. Like people need to be able to not see eye to eye, but work together. And
Right.
I hope the thing that comes out of this is that Parliament and government is kind of not that they open their eyes and, oh, we're woke now and that's what we're going to do. But I hope that this is going to force the world to change for that way. Like I hope, like one thing I'm noticing is over it's very slowly happening. But if you watch it, you'll see it. Like news headlines and all of the big news corporations are slowly realizing that they can't really get away with too much lying and clickbaiting in this going on, because people are trying to find a source that they find reliable and then stick with it. And if media outlets continue to lie and give the wrong information and use like clickbait headlines, it's all just gonna disintegrate upon itself, and we're gonna be back where we started, you know.
Christopher for president 2021. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Definitely not. Definitely. No.
Come on, man. Come on. Yeah.
I will stick to smoking bongs and making jokes about it all.
You know what? You know, maybe we need a president that smokes bongs, man. I'm just saying.
Yeah, cheetah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, our Cheeto. But man, you know, dude, you're going through a lot of shit out there with all that stuff and everything like that. But it's good to see that. What I was excited about was the music that's coming out. And when I just saw you guys, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who you guys were right away, but I got a damn ad on my feed, and I was like, look at these guys. It says you might like these guys because they're on this record label, and I'm like, okay. So when I clicked it, I was like, dude, these guys are awesome. I sent it over to to Rum, and he was just like, man, let's. So I was like, let's get him on the show. So, yeah.
Yeah, rad.
Yeah, I'm passing it on to everybody, man.
Yeah, me too.
It's good. It's really, really good, and it's something fresh, something, something a bit, you've taken those concepts, those ideas, mashed them together, and have your own sound, and I think that's great, and the music is really awesome, and you can tell Sam, the guitarist, he is fucking awesome.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
He's got some amazing shit going on there. He was I mean, you can hear, you can always hear little influences in people, like, when they're playing, whether they're either playing guitar, vocally at times you can hear influences. But I hear that guitar, I'm like, I hear like fucking like classic old Slash shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hearing that type of just very smooth, confident guitar playing, and I really dug that, definitely. But everybody in the band sounds great.
Nah, thanks, man. Like I think that's just kind of it. Is like, I think the reason a lot of people don't resonate it. Like we're quite a polarizing band, but the reason that people that do resonate with it, I think, is just because we're just trying to be as authentic as we can. We're trying to be our authentic selves. We're trying to be as honest as we can with the lyrics. We're not trying to make music for any sort of market. We're just trying to make music that we like, as far as like the instruments go.
Right.
Like we're just trying to do our own thing, and like, don't get me wrong, it'd be awesome to be a huge band one day. It'd be awesome to be like as big as Parkway Drive, but also like I just want to have a fan base that gets what we're doing, whether it's the biggest fan base in the world or whether it's small and it's enough just to keep us touring. Like, I just want an honest fan base who understand it, who get it, and it's awesome. Like, we got really cool fans. Like, I'm a sucker for the comment section. I know I shouldn't go down there and read, but I'm a sucker for it. And whenever the hate rolls in, I love the hate, but whenever the hate rolls in, like, it's so cool. Like, our kids jump on them. Like they don't need to do that, but they jump on them, and they're like, yo, like, they defend it. And we see it on Twitter. We see like people that like the band defending like anyone that calls it too weird and abstract. And I don't know, it's cool. We got this fan base that kind of get it, and it's like we're all just in on this big joke together, and it's really fun.
I can hear you guys on the radio right now.
Yeah,
I
me
mean,
too.
You mentioned
100%.
You mentioned Parkway Drive. I'm like, shit, these guys are better than them. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. Well, I'll tell you what, dude. We're about to shut this show down and get out of here. But why don't you give these people like any URLs or anywhere they can get in touch with you guys or look at your music or listen to your stuff? Just put it all out there right now.
Yeah. The best place to see what we're doing is Instagram, because it's 2020 and that's just where everything is. Like, our Instagram is where we put all the main information. So just Dregg Music on Instagram. We've also got Facebook. We post on there pretty regularly. Not as regular as Instagram. We've got Twitter as well. I don't run that, so I wouldn't trust that. Zod runs that. And then, like, I don't know, like, just anywhere. To be honest, like, I don't care about the social media. Like, if you like the band, just go fucking listen to the music and watch the videos and come to a show if we ever have shows again. That's basically it. Like, that's all I care about.
Definitely, everybody needs to go and listen to this band, find them, because you've got time to kill right now. Everybody, you're going to discover some new music.
Yes, exactly.
So get on it. And you know, start calling people, start calling your local radio stations. Let's get them over here. I want to hear them on. I want to hear them in the States. I want to hear them when I turn my fucking car over. I want to hear them on the radio. So
I definitely agree. They need to be out here. You guys definitely need to be played out here more. So that's my goal, to try to get you guys some listeners, man.
Thank you so much. That's the shit that, like, see, that's what I mean. Like, that's the stuff I care more about. Like Instagram followers and stuff. That's cool, but the more people that just know what we're doing and enjoy it, that's the big thing, is like, I just want some person sitting in their room listening to it and smiling or like freaking out or whatever you're going to experience while you're listening to it.
Hell yeah.
I just want people to have that, you know?
Yes.
Awesome.
So yeah, man, we appreciate you joining us on this show, man, and hopefully we'll get you back on soon, because like, I'd love to have you and some of the other members on, you know, and talk some more shit.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone's always down. We're sitting around doing nothing at the moment, so whenever you can.
Sounds great, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. I was your host, Wayne. I'm the Rum Guy. And that was Chris from the band Dregg. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to keep it metal! So mellow that we speaking your refrain. That our story got a point, and if you let them explain, is the pun of all puns, get a plan with Papa Wayne. Rum tapping the vein, and I'm minutes bringing pain. MHOG secreting, leaving a stain. You ain't as dope as us, bitch. Stay in your lane. Fuck yeah!
That's it.